All right, news break coming in. Pakistan has backed global terrorist Syed Salahuddin. Pakistan Foreign Ministry has backed Syed Salahuddin despite the US ban. Pakistan continuing to back terror. The global terrorist is freedom fighter is what the Pakistan Foreign Ministry has said. I want to connect to Sudhir Ranjan Sen, my colleague, who's joining us for more on that. Sudhir, it's over to you because this is it's bizarre with what's just coming out right now.
Yes, it's absolutely bizarre because there are, several cases against Syed Salahuddin in mainland India, in Jammu and Kashmir. He is known to be a man who heads Hizbul Mujahideen, which is a banned organization in India. And because of his repeated terror acts, he is now being listed as a terrorist by the United States. That said, the reason why Pakistan is trying to, interpret this in a way as a freedom fighter is because they are trying to internationalize the Kashmir issue. But the government of India, not from now, but for some time now, has been working on a plan to isolate Pakistan in the global stage for supporting terror and continuing to aid and abet them. And that is what we saw yesterday when the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, met his counterpart in the United States. That counter-terrorism pitch was there. But having been cornered, it now appears that Pakistan is now trying to give this entire Kashmir unrest, which they are directly, supporting, and there is enough evidence to say that they are behind, instigating and triggering the unrest that we are seeing in Pakistan, to give it an angle of a freedom fight or some such a sort of a thing. But it's a very inane kind of an effort that is coming out.
But this pitch is, but Sudhi, this pitch has already failed internationally.
This pitch has definitely internationally failed because across the globe, the fact that Pakistan is mixed up with, terrorist organizations like the Taliban, like the Hizbul Mujahideen, like the Lashkar-e-Toiba, this is very well known, well documented. So in a way, you could say this is a last-ditch attempt to kind of give it a different color by Pakistan, which of course, with the kind of diplomatic effort that we are seeing from, from this government, it's not going to work. And the same thing applies in a way to China, the way, India has also been trying to isolate China because it is continuously blocking efforts to, put, the JEM founder, Maulana Masood Azhar, in the same list in the United Nations. Now, with China blocking it, India's efforts have also been very similar. Isolate China, tell the world that they are supporting a terrorist. It will, in a way, strengthen India's hand. But by calling him a freedom fighter, Pakistan is trying to deflect the entire issue.
All right. Appreciate you joining us, Sudhi. Let me also bring in my colleague Padmaja, who's getting us the very latest. Padmaja, the Foreign Ministry calling Syed Salahuddin a freedom fighter, rather bizarre, but how well does it tie in to what transpired between President Trump and our Prime Minister?
Let's make no mistake, Preeti. Yesterday, in what the US State Department has said, they have said very clearly that Syed Salahuddin is a terrorist and that he is responsible for terror activities. They have given specific instances of terror attacks that have taken place for which Salahuddin has taken responsibility, attacks in which Indian nationals have been injured or killed. They have referred to the fact that Syed Salahuddin himself said that he's going to turn Kashmir into a graveyard for Indian security forces. But I want to draw the attention of our viewers to what Pakistan has said. Another disingenuous attempt by Pakistan to try and position this global terrorist as some kind of freedom fighter. Let's just pay attention to the kind of language used over here. Again, they say it's a 70-year-old indigenous struggle of Kashmiris in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Preeti, if there's one thing that the State Department has made very clear yesterday is that this is not an indigenous struggle. It is a Pak-sponsored. It is a terrorist group sponsored and backed and fueled agitation that is taking place. Now look at the language they've used over here, and what is worse, that despite the fact that now Syed Salahuddin and his terror organization has been named and shamed, Pakistan says that they will continue to extend political, diplomatic and moral support. Take a look at this language over here. Essentially, if one was to paraphrase this, they are saying, we know it's a terror organization, but we are going to pretend that it's a freedom struggle and we are going to continue to back it, support it, fund it and fuel it. This is now Pakistan's face out there for the world to see.
Padmaja, just take us through that document that you're holding. What is this document? Clearly, it's got the Pakistan Foreign Ministry behind Syed Salahuddin. calling him a freedom fighter. What is this document? Can you give us details?
Okay, so this is the latest press release which has come from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of Pakistan. It was in response to a question, Preeti. The Foreign Ministry, the Pakistan Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson was asked a question about the kind of strictures that have been placed yesterday by the US State Department on Syed Salahuddin. It is a well-known fact that he is, in fact, now let me show you in more detail this statement that has come. It was in response to a question. The spokesperson said, and I could request Shakil Bhai to come closer to this, Pakistan has demonstrated a long-standing commitment of combating terrorism. You will remember that it's always their refrain that we are the victims of terrorism. We have made sacrifices. Here they say, again, they start by reiterating that we have a long-standing commitment of combating terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Government of Pakistan have rendered immense sacrifices, etc. And then here comes this part where they say it's a 70-year-old indigenous struggle of Kashmiris. And again, they call it Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Remember, this is completely different from the language that was used yesterday by the United States. And this so-called struggle that they call remains legitimate. The designation of individuals supporting the Kashmiri right to self-determination as terrorists is completely unjustified. The gross and systematic violations of human rights of Kashmiri people in Kashmir that have been recorded and reported, etc., is a reality, they say. And also they talk about how over the past 1 year, the world has witnessed an intensification of brutal policies of repression, etc. So here you have the United States saying very clearly that there are terror activities which are perpetrated by Syed Salahuddin and his ilk in Kashmir. But Pakistan, again, when asked about whether they will stop their backing to terror, instead tries to project it as an indigenous struggle for their right to self-determination and unequivocally say that Pakistan shall continue to extend political, diplomatic and moral support. So as far as shutting up the terror tap is concerned, Pakistan has said quite clearly it will continue.
All right. You know, Padmaja, juxtapose it with what we've been witnessing since yesterday.
Absolutely. So remember yesterday when we had the statement coming from the US State Department, and we'll just get that up in a second as well. The US State Department's language was very clear. They said that Syed Salahuddin is someone who has been responsible for violent attacks in Kashmir, and that is the reason why he has been designated a global terrorist. And here you see that very man projected as someone who is helping and leading Kashmiris in their indigenous struggle for freedom.
All right, you know, Padmaja, we'll keep coming back to you as well as Sudhi, but let me get in more reaction. Defense expert, we do have retired Brigadier Mahalingam with us. Sir, you know, what do you make of this? It clearly seems to be somewhere down the line a last-ditch effort there. The Foreign Ministry of Pakistan calling Syed Salahuddin nothing more, nothing less than actually a freedom fighter where Kashmir is concerned. And especially if you play it in context of what has been happening since yesterday.
The problem is, unfortunately, the United States has never been firm in whatever it does. If you are aware that the Hafiz Saeed, who is a Lashkar-e-Toiba's commander, he too is a designated terrorist, global terrorist. And what is happening to him? He is moving around freely. And so Pakistan knows and fully understands that designating this particular man, Syed Salahuddin, as a terrorist means nothing more than what has happened or happening to Hafiz Saeed. Therefore, there is a sort of a feeling that Americans will not do. The problem is, America has done this. It's merely symbolic. It sort of came out at a time when Modi was about to meet President Trump, and that is about all. Unless the United States takes it on seriously, like what it done in the case of Iraq or in the case of Russia, then there will be some effect. But Pakistan knows that it is not going to do anything. So that's the reason why this is coming out. And I don't think US can do much about it.
But, you know, Brigadier, let's just look at the fact with all the developments that have been playing out, especially with what came out of the meeting between the US President and the Indian Prime Minister. Let's just go back to a proposal that has been mooted by the congressmen to take away the MNNA status where Pakistan is concerned. So everything clearly playing out in coordination, isolating Pakistan, forcing it to attempt last-ditch efforts like this.
See, this particular issue, like what Ted Poe, the gentleman congressman, what he has done today, the similar thing was attempted in US in 2016. It did not happen. Now take in the case of why go all the way to United States. What did India do? Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar brought out a bill to designate Pakistan as a terrorist state. But in India, when BJP is in government, when it has got majority in the lower house, despite that, we did not declare him Pakistan a terrorist state. Therefore, why are we going around in circles? The problem that we must understand is until and unless India acts severely and thereafter goes to the world and makes a request for them to follow suit, people might think, do you think the countries outside India, say Switzerland or Norway or whichever country it is, do they know what exactly is Pakistan doing? Are they interested in case Pakistan is really acting against India in any storm? So therefore, this is what it is. Until unless we act, I don't think anybody will do. And this is a problem with not only this particular individual, this is a problem with the entire issue of terrorism.
All right, Brigadier Mahalingam, appreciate you joining us. We continue tracking the story very closely, slipping into a quick break. To stay with us, the updates continue.